The following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Yeah! Go Cowboys! This is Cowboys Storylines with Nick Eatman.
What is up? It is time for Cowboys Storyline. It is Wednesday, November the 1st. We're moving right along here in 2023. And in this Cowboys season, this is week 9. Cowboys have played 7 games and the bye. Still got 10 to go. A lot can happen. We know that. Just look at a few teams, even this team. I mean, just look at what you thought about this team 2 to 3 weeks ago. It changes all the time. I'm not going to go through the whole roller coaster analogy, but it's what it is. And as soon as you think it's one way, it does something else. It flips, and that's the beauty of it. That's what we love about this team and the NFL, and it's always going to change. Hope everybody had a safe Halloween and trick-or-treating and all that kind of stuff, and checked all their candy and the pizza. You got to check the pizza too. You never know what you're going to get there. So one of those awesome nights. Halloween, not a huge fan, but you know what? The family loves it, so you got to play along. But hey, we're moving on. November 1st, and it is time to we got callers, we got texts, 888-855-2297. Let's go right to it here. Let's get to Gary in New Mexico. Lead us off, Gary.
Hey, Nick, how you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm good, and I'm probably one of the few people that is relieved that the Cowboys did not do anything at the trade deadline.
All right. Why?
Dallas is really good. We're really good at drafting and developing players. We are horrible at second contracts, and we're not really good when we pay a lot for somebody else's guy. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. I can't argue with you. I mean, I'm sure there are exceptions, but I think for the most part, I think you're right there.
Yeah, and you're closer to the situation. I mean, you're in the building, and I'm not opposed to making a trade if it's going to take us over the top.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't see anybody out there that we could get that I thought would take us over the top. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I don't disagree there. I think, one thing that I would have liked to have seen and is just a little bit more depth at running back. I think you need to cover the bases the best you can, and adding depth. And as much as I like Rico Dowdle, I like him, but as a number 2, I'd like to see him run the ball a little bit more. But I just, I don't want to see if something were to happen to Pollard and he's not the biggest guy, and this is his first year of really taking on this many carries, and so if anything were to happen, I mean, you could go into a game with Rico Dowdle and Malik Davis and Hunter Lipke, and later in the season I would have added a little bit more depth there if possible. I'm sure there's some guys maybe still out there, but not better than kind of what you have. So that's what my thought, but. You're not wrong. You're not wrong in thinking that way, and I don't think you're the only person. Also, that was okay with this. I got to do an interview with Stephen Jones. We do it, about once a week or so, and it was about right after 3:00. It was really close to the deadline, and he was checking his phone. I think they had a couple of things dangling out there, but nothing too serious. He was wondering if he would get a couple of callbacks that they didn't. So, I think that they were trying, not 100%. I mean, I think they just throwing some things out there, but it didn't work. And I think that they are content with the team and what they have, and at all positions, or you would have gone and made a move. But you're right, when you look at big picture drafting, better than they are at adding talent and bringing them in that way. All right, let's go to South Carolina for the next call. Tim in South Carolina, you're up.
Hey, buddy, how you doing, man?
Good. How are you doing?
Good. I got a couple of comments, man. I've been online like the last 24 hours or 20 hours, however long.
Uh-oh.
And people are just tearing down the Cowboys for not trading for anybody or whatever the situation is. And it's like they think the world's ending, man. We got a great team. I mean, we really do. There's some, there needs to be some better backups and stuff like that. But, I mean, we got a great team. And, it started out first of the year, the Cowboys were the team to beat. Then it went to this team and that team and the Eagles and whoever. And it really shows that we're at the top of our game. The thing is, man, we just got to put it all together, and Sunday's a good starting point.
Yeah.
And so I can't stand, I'll say this and I'll shut up. I can't stand to hear all these people online bashing the Cowboys because they didn't trade for anybody. And the truth is, nobody that everybody talked about the Cowboys should get got traded. They didn't even change teams.
Right.
And so, why go for something that we don't need? A cornerback, nice, you said a running back, but, I mean, nothing really happened.
Yeah, and to your point on that, and I'm sure the guy you're referencing, and I'll say it, I mean, is Derrick Henry, for Tennessee. Everybody was talking about him. Well, what does that tell you about, I mean, I guarantee you the price tag wasn't what the Tennessee wanted, and vice versa, So, and that goes to say with a lot of other players that you thought were out there. The Bears had a cornerback and things like that, but they hear it too, so they're not just going to let these guys go for nothing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I mean, we're already missing picks. 3 or 4, 5, and 6, or 3, 4, and 5. What is it?
4, 5, and 6. 4, 5, and 6 is not available for next year.
Yeah. I mean, so, I don't want to do away with that.
I got it. And Tim, thanks for the call. I appreciate that. And let me piggyback on that a little bit. Okay. So the fans want the Cowboys to make a trade at the deadline. Okay. Would you rather bring in a corner and a receiver right now? Bring them in right now. Introduce them to the team. Hey, here's your quarterback. Here's your defense coordinator. Here's the playbook. Let's figure this out. Hurry up, because we got the Eagles coming up. Do you want that? Or do you want them to make a trade in March and add them then and bring them at training camp and let them figure things out and get to know the team and become leaders and all that kind of stuff? Because that's what they did. And that was different than they've ever done before. It was very, very unique for them to go and on the start of free agency to make trades. Wow, they added Cooks. They added Gilmore. What's wrong with this team? What's going on? Where were who's running the show here? This is new. This is what they did. But we forget all that. I mean, because that was yesterday's news. I mean, that's boring. But that's what they did, and that's what you would prefer. You would rather have Gilmore and Cooks and bring them in March. And here's what they are now, as opposed to scrambling and trying to get something at this point and probably overpaying. So, you can say, well, the Cowboys don't do anything. They didn't do anything this time. They did some stuff back in March that's probably put them in a better situation. So don't say that they don't make trades. They do. They make some trades. They step out of the box a little bit and do things that are abnormal to them. And they did. And you're glad that they did. So that was their trade. And they lost a fifth and a sixth. For this reason. So you get to this point, they don't have the same kind of ammunition. That's what they would have felt comfortable. Now you're not going to trade. What do you want to trade, a third? You want to go into next year's? They've already done it. They've done it. They made the moves. Just don't forget about it, that's what they did. All right. How about Samuel in Jackson, Mississippi? I just saw Samuel Jackson. But Samuel in Jackson, Mississippi, first-time caller.
Yes, sir. How you doing, Nick?
Man, good. How are you doing?
Pretty good. I was just calling. I'm not really concerned about the trade deadline. I don't expect to really get anything done with that.
Okay.
But I am concerned about all the blowouts in these games. We either win by a lot or we lose by a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that's maybe an adjustment thing by the coaches, or not? If the initial game plan doesn't pan out, they're having trouble adjusting to it?
Well, I mean, they're only 2 weeks removed from a really close one against the Chargers, which was their only close game. So they do have one under their belt. Right now they're blowing teams out at home, and they were kind of letting these games get away from them on the road. I don't know if there's anything to put your finger on there. I mean, I really don't. I think that they've played one good football team this year, and they've been blown out. That's what I think. I think for the most part, the other teams are pretty good to below average. So it's hard. I think it's still 7 games is a lot of games. It's not a short sample size, but it's also a little too early to say that this is the type of team that they have. I don't know. I'm not concerned about the blowout, especially the ones at home. I just think that's how much better the Cowboys have been than their opponent at home. What do you think? Tell me why you're concerned a little bit by it.
It just seems the last couple of years we've had similar situations here. Most of the time, either we lose by a lot or we win by a lot. And at first I thought it was the kind of Kellen Moore method, how Kellen Moore would just kind of score a lot of points and not do good management. And I think McCarthy's improved on that, but I don't know.
Well, I'm just going back and looking at last year's games. I mean, I don't know. I see some, 4-point game, 6-point game, 8-point game, 37-point game, 35-point game, 7, 20, 18, 2, 6. I mean, I see a little bit of everything. I don't know if there's a trend there. I could, we could take a deeper look into it, but I've seen a little bit of everything. I've seen some overtime games, seen some close games, seen some blowout games, and we've seen some of that this year too. So I think I'm not concerned about blowing teams out. I mean, I think that's a good sign. But of course, they do have the 2 games. I mean, I don't think they got blown out by the Cardinals, but they lost by 12, and that's a lot in an NFL. But 32 against the 49ers is alarming. And still, if you had to rate both of those, I mean, I've said this before. I mean, I'm more concerned about the 49er game than I would be the Arizona game, and I say that because the 49er game. I mean, you were about as full strength as you could get. That you could expect to be. And that was a playoff type atmosphere. That was, hey, let's figure that, hey, this team has knocked us out. We're coming to get them. And it was not the case. And so, Arizona, you guys can say, well, I don't believe in excuses, but I mean, that offensive line is not what the Cowboys will have for most games. And so you've kind of lowered yourself to the standard of what the Cardinals were. And so that's how you get beat by the Cardinals is you have too many injuries and you just don't execute. They overlooked them. There's no doubt about it. They were not focused like they needed to in that game. All right, let's go. I got a text question here from Wilson in Virginia Beach. Why don't we run sweep pitch run plays off? And in all the years I've been watching, we rarely do it. Get Pollard on the outside, make people miss. It is because our O-line is not athletic enough to run that play? ? I think you've got some athleticism on the line. No, you definitely have some. I mean, you know what? I think if you go back and look, I mean, I know specifically of a play where Chuma Edoga's running outside, and he made a couple of blocks, and it was a toss pitch to the left side, right in front of the Cowboys bench to Pollard. Edoga was out there on the move. I've seen Tyron out there on the move. I think they do it. Do they do it all the time? No, they don't all the time, but they do run to the outside. And a lot of times our outside runs are these little sweeps to the like reverse runs to Cooks or CD coming around the edge. But I've seen Pollard do it, and I've seen just pitches to them as well. I think to do that, your receivers have to be good at blocking. That's one thing that they've lost a little bit in the last couple of years with some of the guys that were out there a lot. The Noah Browns and stuff like that. Good blockers. Obviously, they're receivers. They need to be getting open and making catches more. But they have some. They don't have the biggest receivers in the world, but they have some that can block. But that's another key element to running to the outside is making sure that you can get things blocked on the edge. All right. We go to our fourth caller is Sean in Bakersfield, California. Sean, what's up, man?
What's going on, Nick? How's it going, man?
Good. Good morning to you out there.
Thank you very much. It's been a rough day, to say the least, man. I just wanted to ask you a question. Before each season starts, the goal is to win the Super Bowl, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And everyone talks about how the Cowboys made their trades. You talked about earlier. They made their trades earlier in the season, with Cooks and Gilmore, even Hankins, last year. It was great. But that being said, Nick, the two teams that, with those trades, those two teams are still better than us, and that is Philly and that is the Niners, right? And those two teams that are considered better than us, unquote, those two teams made moves to make it to the Super Bowl, and we didn't. I just thought that was crushing. I thought we have a good team, and I don't see anything wrong with getting better, right? And it's the draft picks that they'll talk to us about, or it's going to be the cap, right? We don't want to be good at drafting. We want to win the Super Bowl, us fans. We want to win the Super Bowl. And, I feel like they dodged it by not going after somebody on this deadline. There was a lot of people out there, I'm sure. There was that cornerback out there from the Bears. They wanted a second round. Go for it. They want to keep these draft picks and keep going. And they talk about, we got to feed everybody a part of the pie and this and that. The Cowboy fans, Cowboy Nation want a Super Bowl. That's all I got, man.
All right.
Have a wonderful day. God bless you.
You too. This is when I would love to see another caller on the line. Empty calls right now, because I would just move right on to that. I can't argue with that one. I mean, I can. It's just, it's no point. I mean, if that's how you feel, that's how you feel. I don't think you speak for every Cowboy fan there. Yeah, every Cowboy fan wants to win the Super Bowl, but there's different ways to get there. And for him to say, we don't want a team that drafts well. I mean that's just. That just cue the record scratch what yeah you do, you definitely do, and it doesn't okay, so the Bears wanted a second round pick for whatever corner that you didn't even know who he was. You don't even okay they evaluate these guys too. So 49ers get Chase Young. Does that make him a Super Bowl contender? I mean, would that have made the Cowboys a Super Bowl contender, just getting him? I mean, I think a lot of this frustration is just seeing other teams do some things to fill some needs or whatever that maybe the Cowboys, like you saw a safety go to Philadelphia, you saw a pass rusher go to go to the 49ers. Does that make them better? I don't know. I'll be honest. I haven't seen Chase Young make a play. I mean, I really haven't. He's been hurt a lot. I know what he looks like. I know what he was drafted. I know all this stuff, but he doesn't make a ton of plays like that. So maybe he will. Maybe he will there with the 49ers. But I'll say this. I don't think he's going to a better group, a better defensive line than he had before. I looked at that trade and the trades that happened yesterday, and I think it helped the Cowboys more than anything. And so I've already been in an argument this morning on the air about this, where people are looking at 49ers, they're looking at the Eagles, they're looking at trying to get to the playoffs. But I'll say this, you got 2 games coming up with Washington, and you got a guy named Montez Sweat, I believe. You haven't blocked him since he's been in the league. I mean, he's wrecked games for the against the Cowboys. So that's not the worst move in the world for the Cowboys to see a couple of those guys in Washington. You got to get through that. And if that's being short-sighted, then so be it. But I know this, that I don't think I don't know. You can't tell me that the 49ers got appreciably better yesterday. I don't know that. I don't know that for sure. I think the Cowboys looked at situations. They tried. I know they did. I know they tried to make moves. It didn't work. They weren't as aggressive as they needed to. And like I said before, they have made moves before. So if it was too early, that's fine. That reminds me of kids that always want a toy, always want stuff like that, and then you get it for them, and then 6 hours later they're asking for something else. That's the way that they think. They don't remember 6 weeks ago. You've got 2 players. They've made moves. They've lost draft picks to do it. They're working them in. That's what they've done. That's why they say that they like their team. So I think it's my opinion, but I think it's short-sighted of fans to look at other teams and go, they did it. Why don't we do it? It's completely different situation. So We'll see. But that's all I got to say on that. All right, Ronnie in New Jersey is our next caller. Ronnie, what's up?
Good morning, Nick. How you doing?
Good. I'm all right.
I mean, it was a little. I'll be honest with you. I have some of the last caller.
What did you want, Ronnie? That's what I should have asked. What did you want to do?
I wanted that physical running back. And
first round pick. First round pick. You want the guy?
I wouldn't give up a first round pick.
Oh, you're not giving up a first round pick. So what did you want to give for him? Second round pick?
The most a second. Because listen, Nick, if anything you could agree on is that we're not great at picking at the second round. So if we could get a running back that we know for sure is going to pound that ball in there, is going to give us that physicalness that we need, yeah, I would have given up that second round pick. It's not like we do much with it. Every year we just try to get a player with upside. It works out sometimes. I mean, you could count on your hands how many players worked out. Sean Lee and maybe one or two more.
But you're, second round, you're assuming that was the offer. You're assuming that's all that it's going to take. And I don't think that's the case. I think it would have been more than that. It would have been more than that. You can't tell me that 31 other teams didn't want that same player, and it didn't work out. Like they didn't. The price wasn't what Tennessee wanted. Let's just don't dance around it. Tennessee wanted a lot more than what the Cowboys but any team was offering at that point. So it didn't work out. I mean. They weren't looking to go. It wasn't just a second. It was going to be a second and something else. And that's where you get into the area that the Cowboys didn't have. They didn't have that something else, not for this year, unless you were talking about players. So I'm with you. I totally agree. I think the Cowboys are thin at running back. I agree, 100%. But they got themselves in this situation.
That, Nick, can I just ask you?
Sure.
I know, isn't we had a back that was supposed to consider like that, Ronald Jones. Is saying he's still available that maybe they could bring back just to take a look, put him on the practice squad and see where he's at. They need help.
I agree. I don't know if they agree, but yeah, Ronald Jones is a guy that they could bring back if they wanted to. I don't believe he's with another team. I could be wrong there. I haven't seen that come across. There's not a lot of running backs that are open and available. I think Buffalo did a good job of getting Fournette, there, and because a lot of times what happens is the trade deadline goes, and then you're like, all right, I didn't get to make a trade. Who's out there? And they went and got the best guy that was out there before that could happen. But I just, you guys, you understand, like it doesn't work where, I mean, it's not a store, okay? It's not like the guy is sitting there like available with a price tag on him and you just have to decide if you want him or not. I mean, it's a two-way street. So I don't understand the frustration with the Cowboys for not going to make a move that you don't even know is available. You don't. So that's just reckless to me. It's reckless to say, why didn't we go and do something when you would be pissed if they gave a first-round pick to a player for a year or two, or a second and a third next year, or a player that you like. They were looking. They looked for the last week and a half, and nothing really piqued their interest. And it's just weird that fans would just be upset that without even knowing what it was and what it would have taken to get a player that his original team doesn't really want either. So I don't know. I tend to have a hard time arguing about things I don't know anything about, and I really don't know what these trade situations were. But I know the Cowboys are trying to get better, and if they didn't make the move, then it obviously didn't seem like it was a good move for them. So, all right, Steven in Tyler, Texas. Steven, what's up?
Hey, Nick, how are you, man?
I'm good. You? I'm good.
I'm doing.
What do you got? Trade
great,
deadline? Who did you want?
No, you know what? Everybody wanted, something. But let's be real, man. I've heard you say it many times, like, why trade just to be trading? We have no picks. We have nothing left. You know what I mean? So,
yeah.
I mean, I get it. All of Cowboys Nation wanted, somebody. I wanted somebody. But in reality, We hear this player acquisition is 365. And I think, Cowboy Nation is just kind of upset, like when they hear that, and then nobody comes in, at the trade deadline. But we did make 2 trades. We got 2 really good people, this offseason. So, and I'm under the impression like you, they came in there in March or whatever the case may be, and look where they're at now. You get somebody in here, now, is he really supposed to contribute right away? Maybe if you go get to a stud like, Chris Jones or somebody like that. So I think Cowboys Nation let's chill out, see how this goes, and let's let it play out, man. We got Philly on Sunday. Let's go walk into the house, take their heart, come back to the house.
There you go. I like that. And if that happens, Steve, thanks for the call. If that happens, that's going to change a lot of opinions about where the Cowboys are right now. I mean, I know the frustration part is that, and I think that San Francisco's losses are probably making it worse for the Cowboys and their fans, just because it's like that team still was way better than you when it really counted. And now they've struggled. Are they struggling because of injury? Are they struggling because teams have figured them out? They're just going through that humble patch, I guess, that happens. And it does. It happens to all the teams, in the roller coaster. There's dips, there's twists, there's flips, there's all that kind of stuff. But the sad part is for I'm sure for a lot of Cowboy fans is that, man, if they're not any good, then how good are we? And that's the question you always have to ask yourself. But it's just weird with the NFL. I mean, it's just Cowboys were way better than the Jets, and that was clear. They beat them pretty good. And the Jets beat the Eagles, and I don't think any of that's going to matter for Sunday. I think of how they match up. So it is a lot about matchups, and I think the Cowboys will match up with a lot of teams, but they've been in a situation, this year where they've had some blowouts, they've had some tough games, and but I think this game against the Eagles, I think it'll be a lot different. I don't think I'll be really surprised if it's a blowout. That's not just the way these two teams have played most of these games. They've been pretty close, and they were close last year when both teams. Neither game had both starting quarterbacks there. All right, let's go to one more. Let's go to another call here. Before we go to break. All right, Joe in Maine. What's up, Joe? Hey,
what's going on, Nick? So all this craziness out there about we got to get these guys, I don't get it. I don't understand it. Our needs that we needed just weren't out there.
Yeah. What do you think the needs are? What would be, in your mind, like the main needs of the team?
I mean, sure, you want to beef up the offensive line. I think that's a huge spot. But who do you put in there that's better than what we already have?
Yeah, it's hard to add offensive linemen from any team. Nobody feels like they have a surplus of offensive linemen. And so it's hard to trade for someone unless you just got a starter that's not going to get re-signed off a team that's not really very good. That's your best.
I look at it and I say, who's out there that's better than Chuma? And then the question mark remains. They're like, you're not going to give up somebody to get something that's not as good as what you already have.
Right.
In running back. And I look at running back. I said, sure, Derek Thompson, sure. But who else is out there that was better than what we have?
Right.
And you're going to give up first round on a running back? I mean, you wouldn't use it in the draft. Why would you use it now?
That's true. That's a good point.
I'm sitting there and I'm looking at it and I'm saying, we picked up Rashid Evans, middle linebacker. We needed a middle linebacker. We didn't trade for him. We just signed him.
Yeah.
And he played in the game. He's getting playing time, and this is a valuable piece that we'll be able to actually use.
Yeah. Joe, don't be bringing rationale into the situation here. All right, I mean, don't bring points and facts. You know what I mean? I mean, no, I appreciate it. I mean, you're right. And again, I thanks. You have another question. I don't want to. You have another question. I don't want to kick you off the line just yet. Anything else?
No. It wasn't so much of a question. It was just more a point of I've been a Cowboys fan since 1977, and I've gone through all the ups and downs and all the love and the hate and all that in between. And I look at what we've got, and I said, look at Brandon Cooks. We might as well have just picked him up on a trade. We haven't used him.
Yeah.
He's a brand new piece of the puzzle that we started using, you know. And I just look at it and I say, we just need to use what we got and get the most out of it. And we've shown that we can be that complete team.
Yep. A great call. Thank you, Joe, for the call. And think about that. Use Brandon Cooks as an example. And not every position's the same, but just look at that for a wide receiver. Brandon Cooks had a great training camp, but then for some reason it didn't mesh the same during the regular season. Well, you bring a player in now, it takes a little bit. I mean, it always does. I remember they got Roy Williams in 2008, first-round pick. They got him at the trade deadline, I believe, and he didn't really contribute at all that year. I mean, you could argue how much he contributed after that. I mean, he was a pretty good player, but they didn't get the return on investment there. And some of those moves, of blockbuster type trades, they have hurt they have to stay in your mind a little bit. Like, all right, is it really worth it to go and try to get over the top with a player that maybe you're going to give up too much and maybe it's going to backfire because when they've done that, when they've made moves like that for Joey Galloway and Roy Williams and I'm missing another one as well that they brought in. I mean, for the most part, it doesn't really work out from a long-term situation. So, all right, let's take a break. Take a break here on Cowboys Storyline. We'll be right back. We got more calls, more texts.
Todd thought it would be secure to jog in the cheetah savanna. Todd believed the big cat repellent he bought online was reliable. And now, Todd is trying to be faster than this cheetah that can run 80 miles per hour. But the good news is, Todd has AT&T 5G that is fast, reliable, and secure. And he learned the best thing to do is stop running and toss her the backpack with the beef stew. AT&T 5G. Fast, reliable, secure. It's not complicated.
5G requires compatible plan and device. 5G may not be available in your area. See att.com/5G for you for details.
Cowboys fans, after that move, we've just coined the term Rowdy Replay. Let's roll back the tape.
Okay, there's our mascot Rowdy cheering on the boys. And now he's on his phone, on his Bank of America mobile banking app?
Staying on top of his finances with his virtual financial assistant, Erica.
Bank of America's digital tools are so impressive. Cowboys fans just can't stop banking. Learn more at bankofamerica.com/can't-stop-banking.
Erica is only available in the English language. You must download the latest version of the mobile banking app, only available on select mobile devices. Message and data rates may apply. Member FDIC.
Welcome back into Dear Doctor, the show where I answer life's questions with an ice-cold can of Dr. Pepper. Sheila, let's hear from our next caller, would you?
Dear Doctor, my friend supported me during a tough time, but what's the right gift that says, thanks for being a shoulder to cry on?
Okay, this one's easy. I say give her a delicious Dr. Pepper. Nothing says, thanks, girl, better than a one-of-a-kind soda. Yes, any Dr. Pepper flavor will do. Now, just a reminder that I don't need to be a real doctor to know that Dr. Pepper is the one you deserve.
They say champions are remembered, but legends are never forgotten. United Ag and Turf offers a winning lineup of John Deere equipment built to tackle any challenge on and off the field. Legendary John Deere tractors, combines, residential mowers, commercial mowers, compact construction equipment, Gator utility vehicles, and a full line of golf and sports turf equipment. United Ag and Turf, the official Ag and Turf equipment supplier of the Dallas Cowboys. Visit UnitedAgAndTurf.com to find a location near you.
Back to Cowboys Storylines.
All right, welcome back to Cowboys Storyline, and getting a little heated, I guess, with some of these calls. And let me say this: like I've said this before, and I'll say it every show. I mean, like nobody's opinion is wrong. Like not anybody. Now I don't always agree with it, and I don't agree with being frustrated at things that you just don't know everything. You don't know the whole story. You don't, and so that's what's tough, and that's why I don't get too worked up about it. I just don't understand. I don't understand some mentality on that, but I do understand the frustration of just wanting to win this thing. I mean, you've been doing it for a long time, and I thought about it last night and this morning. Everybody's a fan of something, and or team. Obviously everyone on here is big Cowboy fans and whatever. But then something else. I mean, I'm looking at I got California, Texas, New Mexico, South Carolina, Mississippi, Maine, New Jersey. Those are the states that have called this today. They got fans of all over the place. One from Texas, and I don't even know for sure if they're a Texas Rangers fan. but I am. I was 13 years old when we moved to Dallas, and I went to my first Rangers game, and they weren't very good, but they were, they were just kind of fun to watch. And I've seen 3 different ballparks now, and here they are, 1 win away from winning the World Series, and that's going to be an emotional thing when if that happens. I'm not going to say when. I'll say if that happens, and it could be tonight, and that'll be really cool because what it does, it brings you back as a fan when you were a kid, your childhood, and you remember some hot games been out there, and the low points and almost winning the World Series 12 years ago, but you do it all for a moment that could happen tonight for me. And I say that knowing not that many people probably listen to our Texas Rangers fans, but it's my team, and I understand the Cowboys are your team, and I get it. I get the frustration, so I don't want that to be lost. I just think you've got to understand all sides of it, and when you're talking about trades that might have happened, might not happen, it's hard to do that. So, all right, let's go to the phone line in Los Angeles. This is Chilus. Did I say this correctly?
Chalus, right? Chalus.
What's up, man?
Chalu. Italian, remember? I called before.
Chalu.
But anyway, no, go Rangers, man. They look good, man.
Let's go.
I couldn't believe they let them come back a little bit.
Oh, that's okay.
Man,
that's okay.
They
were playing pitchers that don't even need to be on the roster. I mean, so
exactly.
I'm not worried about that. I'm worried about making sure they get it done tonight. Okay.
I think they will, man. They look too tough, man. But anyway, I think I agree about the pick thing, man. We don't have that many to screw around with next year. We are a team that picks and builds from that. So, I really think that, they were smart. We got a lot of players on the team, on the roster already that we could take advantage of. I mean, that kid Lipke, you can put him more in the rotation who would really, really be tough. He could get in there and, especially in that short yardage in the red zone and do some things. Plus, he's a blocker. You can switch him out in the rotation with Dowdle and TP. But I also wanted to mention something about on that brotherly shove thing, man. What I don't understand is why aren't the defenses stacking linebackers behind guys like, say, Hankins and Gallimore and O'Diggity Zua and, put Parsons back there, Clark, and shove our guys in there and come up behind them to kind of counter that.
Yeah.
Maybe you could talk a little bit on that and let us know.
Yeah, I mean, thanks for the call. There's as soon as that starts happening, and I bet it already is because now you're seeing. I mean, didn't the Eagles score a touchdown basically just by running the ball off the edge? So, there's a copycat league, and then it's always staying one play ahead of them. I would think the linebackers are pushing. Are they not? I guess I haven't done a whole tutorial on the tush push plays, which I still feel like we need a better name. But yeah, I mean, it's just goes down to weightlifting, and it's just like a tug of war type thing that's happening there. And I thought it's called rugby. I mean, isn't that what that just seems like what it is to me? I'm not a fan of the play. I said it the other day. I don't understand why the NFL allows it, honestly. And it's not just that play. It's college football, too. I just don't understand why a 5-yard run and the guy hasn't come down yet, and then 4 offensive linemen just shove him 6 yards for a touchdown. I don't know, but I've seen my team in college win a football game in overtime because of that play, so I wasn't upset about it then. But yeah, Lipke, I don't know if he's not the answer maybe right now for short yardage situations, but I'll say this: I haven't seen him get stopped, so maybe he is. I mean, everything he's tried, he's been pretty good at. So maybe they got to try it because he keeps getting a little bit better and better. All right, Erwin in Denver, next caller.
Hey. Good morning, Nick. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Just
what?
A little frustrated. Yeah, just a little frustrated. I spoke with you last week. We talked a little bit about Derrick Henry, and I just want to ask you a question. What's the identity of the Cowboys? Are we a running team like McCarthy said we were going to be? Are we a passing team? because McCarthy was talking about we're going to pound the ball, we're going to run the clock out and play with our defense. And then they came off of the bye and they were just slinging the ball around. And I really don't understand. I think McCarthy wants to run the ball, but I don't think he has faith in the type of running back that we have to do that.
Yeah.
I think it's just.
Yeah. I don't know, Erwin. I don't think. I don't know if he ever came out and said, "I'm going to run the ball, pound the ball." That I think we're going to run the ball more. I think there was a real. There was one game for sure against Jacksonville where he was frustrated by the fact that they didn't run out the clock like they should have, and they got too cute throwing the ball around and stuff like that. But if you go back and look at what he's done in Green Bay, obviously different quarterback and all this, but he likes to throw the football. I think it was a little bit of a misnomer to say we were going to run it like that because the personnel doesn't suggest this. Like, he doesn't have the personnel that would suggest that we're going to be a ground and pound running type of team. So I think the identity is a move the ball team. And if that's vague, then that's what it is. I think they are a move the football type of team. When they get in situations where they need to run the clock out, they'll try to do that. But we haven't seen it yet because there has not been a game where they've had the ball with a lead, close game, trying to run it out. It'll happen, but it hasn't happened yet.
Yeah. Also, yesterday, there were a couple of callers talking about their favorite games. I've been a Cowboys fan since like 1968, so I'm kind of showing my age a little bit.
That's all right.
But so really one of my favorite comeback games was when Roger Staubach got injured. He got a head concussion, and Clint Longley came in and threw that long pass to Drew Pearson to beat the Redskins on Thanksgiving Day. That was a great comeback.
Yeah, that was cool. I mean, I wasn't alive, but I've seen it so many times, and that was neat, and it. It sounds like, what was cool about that, and the reason why I know a little bit more about it, and some fans probably do too, is that was 1974 Thanksgiving Day, and things that happened on Thanksgiving just seem to kind of escalate even more. 20 years later, because Clint Longley was the backup, never going to play. No one knew much about him, and back then, I'm sure there wasn't as much coverage at all. So you don't really know hardly a lot of the players. So that was a surprise. Short week. Here comes Staubach's hurt. Their coach is kind of on the sideline and getting excited about it, and then Clint Longley wins the game. 20 years later, in 1994, Troy Aikman's hurt. Rodney Peete is hurt. They got to play a guy that no one really knows about named Jason Garrett. And they're down to Brett Favre and the Packers. They're down pretty big here in the halftime. And they come out in the second half, and it's just bombs away to Harper and Irvin. And they score 36 points in the second half and go win that game on Thanksgiving. And, anytime you can have your name is the game, the Clint Longley game or the Jason Garrett game or the Emmitt Smith game, which I think is the one with the shoulder and the Giants. The Marcus Ware has a game. That might be a theme here in a later show. Like, what's your favorite name game? Like that player, that game. Miles Austin has a game, of course. So, anyways, good stuff. All right, Curtis in Oklahoma, what's up?
Hello.
Yeah, Curtis, you're on.
Yes, man, I'm kind of glad the Cowboys didn't make a big trade. I was on the Rams social media page, and the fans were not on there saying, "Oh, well, I'm so glad we won that Super Bowl years ago." They were pretty pissed about the performance, calling for the head coach, that everybody says is innovative. I've seen some good things from the run game this last game. I know a lot of people talked about trying to get a running back, but I counted at least 4 to 5, 8 to 12-yard runs. Some of those including Pollard, Dak, and this CeeDee Lamb and the Brandon Cook jet sweep. So I like that. And I'm just really happy about this opportunity that we have to even the loss column with the Eagles. I think it's a big point for us in the regular season. We've been fortunate that San Francisco took all 3 of those L's, and I'm super excited about this weekend.
All right, Curtis. Thanks for the call, and good stuff in there. Here's a caller that's encouraged by the running game. We just haven't. We haven't seen it yet as far as a game, like I mentioned, a game where, everyone knows you're running it, and how do you move the ball? What happens? What happens when you're up by 3 at your own 20-yard line, 3 minutes, 30 seconds to go, the other team has 2 timeouts and the 2-minute warning, and you've got to get a first down or 2 to win this game. If not, you're going to punt it, and they're pretty decent, range to go get a field goal. So what happens there? Do you have the trust in Dak to throw it? And I don't mean just trust in Dak, trust in any quarterback. I mean, that's what a coach always do. You trust the situation? And we're not talking about interceptions. We're talking about incompletes. They got to get the clock, churning and moving. And there's going to be, it's going to be tough to run the ball there. They're going to have, stack the box. So what do you do on the outside? That's where I think, that's where I think having guys like Turpin, and obviously, CD and Cooks, get them the ball, make those reverse runs, make them a part of the offense to the point where it's not risky to put the ball in Turpin's hand on a jet sweep like that. That could be 5 yards, stay in bounds, but do that. That's how you run the ball. That's how you keep the clock going, and you get yards as well. If you just try to go Pollard up the middle behind Lipke, it's probably going to be 1 or 2 yards. And so I think what they need to do is I think they need to continue to run plays like that to the point where it's just a staple in the offense. I remember against the 49ers 5 or 6 years ago, might have been Dak's rookie year. It was a close game against the Niners, and I remember it was 3rd and 2 late, that situation I just said, and they threw a quick pass to Beasley, just a quick little bubble screen type pass. He got the first down, and I remember thinking, wow, that's a way to pass out the clock. But they did, and it was just a play that they were comfortable in because they've practiced it so many times. And I think that's the key in doing things like that. One more caller before we go. David in Fort Worth. Is that right, David?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. How you doing, sir?
Good. How are you doing?
Good. It's been a little bit.
Yeah.
My baby's healthy and everything.
Oh, congratulations on that. That's awesome. Yeah, you told me you were going to take a little bit of break. I didn't understand why, but I get it. I'm kidding. Awesome.
Hey,
Congrats.
Well, real quick, because I know the show's almost over. I don't want to take up too much.
You're
I just
good.
want to say, man, I'm really looking forward to this game. A lot of people don't seem like they really want to talk about this game. They want to talk about what didn't happen rather than what's about to happen. We have a big matchup coming up. To me, it's going to be the best running team that we've faced. They got a mobile quarterback. They got dynamic running backs, dynamic wide receivers. I'm really looking forward to it. And like I said, I know we don't have a lot of time, so I'm kind of just rambling.
You're all right.
To everybody who's complaining about the trade deadline, this is my biggest advice. Take a step back and evaluate this roster. If you really in your heart don't feel like we could win a Super Bowl with this roster, okay, then you can go ahead and complain, and then you go ahead and start studying for the draft. Because that's basically what people are, to me, that's basically what people are saying. They're upset that we didn't go get somebody. They don't have faith in the people that we have here. All right, then, go ahead and start evaluating the draft then. I have faith in this team. I have faith in this front office. I have a feeling that, we can go a long way. And, obviously, we're going to find out a lot this Sunday. But, if not, come back on our side. We're willing to take you back on our side. You come back, get on the train again, and let's ride. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm ready for this Cowboys team to do something crazy this year. So,
all right.
Yeah, that's all I got, man.
All right.
I appreciate you taking my call. I'm gonna try to start calling more often. And have a great day.
All right, thank you, David. Appreciate the call. It was. I appreciate that. He knew the show was almost over. He was trying to get in there. I get it. And he just thinking about the big picture, and that's kind of what the Cowboys are as well. Some people are tired of that. They're tired of this big picture. They want to win right now. And I think that's a good debate, though. Do they feel like the roster is good enough to win it? And it's tough. It's tough to sell a lot of people on that when you have a tough loss like the 49ers one, when it was supposed to be, hey, this is us versus you, big on big. And the Cowboys did not show up in that game. And they've also lost to the Cardinals when they had, more of a depleted roster at one position. But that didn't hurt. The defense didn't do their part in that game either. So, I think there's some areas where you feel like the Cowboys could get better, but at what cost? And that's the one that you just don't know. What was the cost to make that trade? So, or to make those trades? They didn't do it. They feel like they're good enough to win right here. We're going to find out in a few days because they got the toughest test yet against the Eagles. All right, we'll talk about that game and more tomorrow. For Chris Beam, I am Nick Eatman. We will see you tomorrow on Cowboys Storyline.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys? Yeah!